can't do this, I said, gripping the edge of the desk so hard my fingers turned white. My son-in-law didn't raise his voice. He didn't look nervous. He didn't even pretend to be sorry. He smiled. You already signed, he said calmly, tapping the stack of papers between us. You just didn't understand what you were signing. The room went silent. At that moment, I realized the man sitting across from me wasn't trying to help me manage my affairs. He was taking everything. My home, my savings, my late husband's legacy. And before this story goes any further, stay with me, because I'll tell you exactly how I ended up trapped in that lawyer's office, staring at documents that could have cost me my entire life. If real stories about family betrayal, money, and manipulation matter to you, please subscribe to Grandma Moments. These are the lessons no one warns you about, until it's almost too late. I became a widow on a Tuesday morning. No dramatic goodbye. No long illness. Just a phone call that changed everything. My husband collapsed at work. By the time I reached the hospital, he was already gone. 43 years of marriage ended in a single sentence spoken by a doctor who didn't know us. We weren't wealthy people, but we were careful, disciplined. We believed in slow growth and quiet security. We paid off our home early. We saved consistently. We invested conservatively. We lived below our means. When he passed, everything he owned came to me. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts, and a small piece of land his parents had left him. Land that had been in his family for generations. I didn't change my lifestyle. I didn't travel. I didn't buy anything new. I just tried to survive the silence. But someone else noticed what I now represented. Security. First it looked like concern. My son-in-law started calling more often, stopping by unannounced, offering help with paperwork, bills, and confusing legal things. You shouldn't have to deal with this alone, he'd say. Let me take some of the stress off you. I wanted to believe him. He was married to my daughter. He was family. And after losing my husband, part of me was desperate to feel protected again. My daughter had married him 5 years earlier. He was charming, confident, and well-spoken. The kind of man who could walk into a room and make people feel like he knew exactly what he was doing, even when he didn't. He talked about business constantly. Investments, opportunities, connections. None of his ventures ever lasted, but he always had a convincing explanation for why the next one would be different. At family dinners, I noticed something. He asked questions. How much is the house worth now? Did your husband leave everything in one account? Have you updated your will? He smiled when he asked. Casual, friendly. But my stomach tightened every time. I told myself I was being paranoid. Grief does that to people. Makes you suspicious. Overprotective. I didn't want to become the difficult mother-in-law. I didn't want to push my daughter away. So I stayed quiet. The first moment that truly unsettled me came one afternoon when I returned home earlier than expected. My front door was unlocked. Inside, I found him sitting at my dining table. Alone. Papers spread out in front of him. My papers. Oh, he said, looking up casually. I let myself in. Hope that's okay. It wasn't okay. But I swallowed my discomfort. What are you doing? I asked. Just organizing things, he replied. You really should get everything in order. You never know what could happen. That sentence stayed with me. Not because it sounded caring. Because it sounded calculated. Over the next few weeks, he became more involved. Too involved. He spoke to banks on my behalf. Asked for copies of documents I hadn't offered. Corrected me when I spoke about my own finances. Then he suggested meeting a lawyer. I know someone excellent, he said. No stress. Just planning. It'll make everything easier. Something in me hesitated. But I agreed. I told myself I was being responsible. The lawyer's office was quiet and professional. Leather chairs. Polished desk. Neutral smiles. My son-in-law sat beside me like he belonged there. He did most of the talking. He explained my finances to me. My intentions for me. My future. When the documents were placed on the desk, He slid them toward me. Just standard planning, he said. Nothing complicated. But I read them. Slowly, carefully. That's when I saw it. A clause that transferred financial authority. A clause that limited my access to my own accounts under certain conditions. A clause that named him as a decision-maker if I were ever considered unable. Unable according to whom? I looked up at him. You planned this, I said quietly. His smile faded. That's not fair, he said. I'm just thinking long-term. For who? I asked. For your daughter, he replied quickly. There it was. The leverage. Using my love for my child as pressure. Push the papers back. I'm not signing anything today. His jaw tightened. You're making this difficult, he said. This is exactly why you need help. That sentence chilled me. I stood up. I need time, I said. You don't have time, he replied. Things happen. Accidents happen. I left the office shaking. That night I barely slept. Every conversation replayed in my mind. Every question he'd ever asked suddenly sounded different. The next morning I showed the documents to someone I trusted. They didn't hesitate. This gives him control, they said. Once you sign this, you lose it. That was the moment denial ended. Called my daughter. First she defended him. He's just trying to help, she said. You're overthinking. But when she read the documents herself, really read them, her voice changed. She confronted him that night. He didn't deny it. He justified it. He said it was logical. He said I was emotional. He said I'd thank him later. That was the night she packed a bag. She came to my house, crying, confused, ashamed. I didn't know, she kept saying. Neither did I. But now we did. And this is where part 1 ends. Not with safety, not with relief, but with a terrifying realization. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a plan. And it wasn't over. The letter arrived on a Thursday morning. Plain envelope. Bank logo. My name printed neatly across the front. I hadn't applied for anything. I hadn't signed anything. But the letter said I had authorized changes to my accounts. My hands started shaking as I read the last line. Authorized representative. My son-in-law. My son-in-law hadn't stopped. He had gone around me. And before I go any further, stay with me. Because this is where the situation turns from manipulation into something far more dangerous. If you believe family betrayal only hurts emotionally, please subscribe to Grandma Moments, because what happened next taught me how quickly love can turn into leverage. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, staring at that letter. The same table where I once helped my daughter with homework. The same table where my husband and I planned our future. Now it felt unfamiliar, cold. I called the bank immediately. After being transferred 3 times, a polite woman finally told me what had happened. Someone had called on my behalf. Someone had answered security questions correctly. Someone had tried to add themselves as an authorized decision-maker. That's not possible, I said. I never approved that. There was a pause. Ma'am, she said carefully, the request came from someone who had detailed knowledge of your accounts. I hung up feeling sick. I didn't cry. Felt something worse. Betrayed, yes, but also violated. Someone I trusted had memorized my life. That day I hired my own lawyer. Not the one my son-in-law recommended. Not someone connected to him in any way. My lawyer listened quietly as I explained everything. Then she leaned forward and said something I will never forget. He's testing you, she said. And he's escalating. She explained that what he was doing wasn't accidental. It was strategic. Each step was designed to see how much resistance he would face. And the fact that he continued after you refused, she added. That's the most concerning part. We moved quickly. Accounts were locked down. Passwords changed. Authorizations revoked. But the damage wasn't just financial. It was emotional. I called my daughter that night. She answered immediately. I know, she said before I could speak. He admitted it. That sentence broke something inside me. She told me everything. After part 1, after she confronted him and came to stay with me, she had gone back one last time to talk, to understand, to believe there was some explanation that would make this feel less ugly. There wasn't. He told her he was securing the future. He told her I was unstable. He told her that once everything was under his control, things would calm down. She asked him directly if he had contacted the bank. He didn't deny it. He said, "I was forced to. Your mother doesn't know what she's doing." That was the moment my daughter finally saw him clearly. Not as her husband, but as a man who believed control was his right. She packed a suitcase that night. She didn't cry. She came to my house and sat quietly on the couch, staring at the wall. "I married a stranger," she said. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. Letters arrived from other institutions. Emails asking for confirmations. Phone calls I didn't answer. Each one was another reminder that he had tried to insert himself into my life without my consent. My lawyer documented everything. Then came the confrontation. I didn't want to meet him, but my lawyer said it was time. We met in her office. Neutral ground. Witnesses present. He walked in confidently like he always did. Like he thought this was still a conversation he could control. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I simply told him the truth. "You will never have access to my finances," I said. "You will never represent me. And if you try again, there will be legal consequences." He laughed. Actually, I laughed. "You're overreacting," he said. "This could have been simple." That's when my lawyer spoke. She explained exactly what would happen if he contacted another institution. What the paper trail already showed. What consequences he was facing if he continued. For the first time, his confidence cracked. Not fear. Anger. "This is ridiculous," he said. "I was trying to help." "No," I replied. "You were trying to take it." Silence filled the room. He stood up abruptly and left. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. A month later, my daughter filed for separation. She struggled with guilt at first. With shame. With the feeling that she had failed somehow. I told her something my mother once told me. Being fooled is not the same as being foolish. Healing wasn't quick. Trust doesn't return easily once it's broken inside a family. But slowly we rebuilt something new. Boundaries, honesty, safety. Today my finances are secure. My documents are protected. My life is quiet again. But I am not the same woman I was before. I am stronger. And I am no longer afraid of confrontation. Here is the lesson I learned, and I want you to hear it clearly. Money doesn't change people. It reveals them. And entitlement often wears the mask of concern. The most dangerous people are not strangers. They are the ones who believe you won't say no. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Grandma Moments, and share in the comments if you've ever had to protect yourself from someone you trusted. Your story matters. And you are not alone.